Welcome to the Forensic Cop Podcast.
Liverpool 2, Manchester City 2. Is Mo Salah the king or what?
Well, what I'll say is, and again, I've been on him about why does he want to get £500,000 a week? What can I say? That's why he wants to get £500,000 a week. I just wish he'd do it more.
Especially on the first goal. The second goal, granted, he tries at every single game and it usually doesn't work, right? But the first goal,
Yes.
I've never seen him be so intentional about attacking and then just slip a through ball so effectively as he did in that play. And I'm wondering if you can do that, why can't you do that every single time?
Yeah, like the first goal suggested a moderate to high level football IQ.
Right, which is a shock.
It's not something, it's not his usual.
No.
I don't know. I honestly don't know. It was a great, like, he ran with purpose, but he also ran, and it was clear in his run, he had no intention of going all the way. His whole intention was to start the play moving and then put a ball through. You could see it right off the bat, and he's usually not like that. So, I mean, I'm happy.
I wonder if it's a very well set play or designed play that worked exactly how they practiced on training, because he didn't even look up. He kind of knew where Mane was going to go. Mane kind of knew what he had to do. And to your point, usually when he's in that position, not so much this season, but in the past, he had no interest in trying to pass. But this season, he's been trying to pass, but without that level of intelligence that this play seemed to suggest.
So the other one that I would say is Mane hasn't necessarily been in the right spot every time. So on this one, Mane actually left. You can see that Mane left his original run that he wanted to make, and he cut further to the wing so that he could get right in front of the defender. And that's what made the play. So, how much of this is down to Salah making the pass this year and Mane just not being there? I mean, I don't know, but again, that goal was surprising in so many ways because Salah made the right football play, a brilliant pass to a guy that is usually not in the right spot lately. He's doesn't seem to be doing it. And then he also, Mane finished it. So, I mean, I don't even know what you say to that because that hasn't really been his calling card lately.
No, I haven't seen those two combined like that in that manner for at least
3 years
now.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's got to be about 3.
Anytime that they assist to each other, it's usually kind of pretty much a fluke, right?
Or it's one of those that you're like, oh God, don't make that pass. And then somehow it gets there and you're like, oh, that was pleasant.
Right.
But this one was very intentional.
So intentional, right? So whatever Klopp did with them to pull off that play, he needs to find more of that.
Well, I mean, I think that whatever Klopp did at halftime, he needs to do more of that because, oh my God, was the first half not pleasant.
And I blame the coach, right? So
Agreed.
We've had this conversation. As much as people say Pep needs money to be successful, that's regardless. He is a coach who makes in-game changes to impact the outcome, right? So you could see the changes that he was making in-game, and you could see how much effort and time he's put into trying to counter playing against Liverpool over the years. Whereas with us, we just come out with the same thing every single time.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, the beginning of the game, the first, 10, 15 minutes, whatever, we had good energy. We were pressing well. We won a lot of balls. And it seemed to be going in the right direction. But it was very clear that, Man City has trained, has strategized, has whatever you want to call it, to get us or to wear us down. And that's what they did. They not that we were tired, but just the way they were playing was very deliberate to get us, to kind of drop off. And we did. We stopped pressing high. We lost some energy. It was not good. By the end of the half, I think we were all just very happy we'd gotten to the half. And it was a minor miracle that we didn't, we weren't down a goal or two.
Yeah, so I think that in previous seasons, Man City has always been caught off guard with our high intensity start, and you can see that's something Pep has worked on with his team. They now know to expect it and to ensure that they don't concede very early like they had in the past. And then typically after 15, 20 minutes, then they can start to get into the game and then play to their own strength.
Which, I mean, they did great on. Again, the not scoring, I hear a lot of, commentary about how if they had a proper number 9, they would have finished. And while I get that to some degree, I honestly think if they had a real number 9, I think it would just change their team.
And that's probably why Pep is not insisting on it. Otherwise,
yeah,
you'd be sure that by now he'd have got a striker.
Yeah, because they play with every player, right? They don't just sit a guy up front and let him kind of rove or whatever. Everything's in a structure, everything's in a plan. So a number 9 wouldn't always be in those places that they, would magically be in the right spot to score, because that's not how Pep plans. And also the striker needs to be part of a defensive core. So, as much as I agree that, they were a little bit unlucky not to score against us, I also think that, they're not a team that's tailor-made for a traditional 9, just like we're a team that could use a number 9, but not one that plays in the traditional sense.
Agreed. And I'm more than curious to see how Kane would have fit into this team.
Well, I think you'll get a chance to soon enough.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got to be coming, right? Like after a game like this, they've got to know that they have to have him. I mean, let's be honest. I heard a lot of, commentary about how, Man City, played so well and they deserved the tie, if not the win. Blah. The bottom line is, Man City's second goal was dumb luck. There's nothing else to it. The pass got to a guy you never intended it to. The shot was tipped away from the goalie. You can't get more dumb luck than that. Not to mention the whole, oh my God, how did Fabinho miss that ball at the end? I mean, I know Rodri came in with the tackle, but come on, man, you got to finish that.
Yeah, he's. I mean, obviously he's not a striker, right? So his instinct was not to hit it first time or to think about lifting it or anything else. He was just playing it as a defensive midfielder would, right? Safety first. Just make sure I get it on target, and then even if it takes 10 million years, right?
Which it did. He had so much time. Oh my goodness. I was almost in shock. I thought, oh, this must be an offside or something. Because how on earth can you have that much time? But I don't know. He's gone to the Mane school of finishing, and I don't know what to say. That was, I mean, regardless, I think we had a lot of good chances. If we had won the game, I wouldn't have said that's totally unfair to Man City. I think that we played quite well in the second half. They didn't finish their chance in the first half, and that happens. If you get a bunch of chances, you don't finish them, then in the second half, things happen. I mean, how many games have we had where that was the storyline?
But to be fair, though, if the teams were reversed, we would not be impressed with Milner still being on the field, and we'd still be complaining about that right now.
No, I mean, I agree. Company should have gotten the straight red. Oh, I'm sorry. You're talking about this year. Oh, okay. It's pretty rich that Pep went crazy and kept talking about it when he knows he won a championship on Company not getting a red. So you win some, you lose some. That's just kind of the way I see it. I'm not, should Milner have gotten the yellow? Absolutely, on the second one. That being said, the angle of the referee, the way the game was being played, it was clear Bernardo Silva was looking to get bailed out with a foul. So I'm not saying it wasn't a yellow. I'm saying that maybe there was something in the ref's head. He didn't want to, similar to the ref that didn't give Company that yellow when he made the, knee-high tackle on Salah. He didn't want to affect the game. This ref didn't want to affect the game either. He wanted it to end 11-11 and the best team win. So, to some degree, I can understand that.
So, yeah, and that's my point. So, somewhere in a parallel universe, there are two Man City fans having a podcast where they're telling Liverpool fans to stop complaining about the Company red, or supposed red, right?
Absolutely.
So
So,
my point,
so in my defense on the company red, it was voted. That was the year before VAR came in, and it was voted by all fans, not just Liverpool fans, as the most egregious bad call that VAR would have overturned. So I take solace in the fact that even non-Liverpool fans agree with me on this one, but I agree. I mean, we feel hard done by that one. They feel hard done by this one. It's just a game of football.
yeah, and I think a tie was the best result. It would have been neither team deserved to lose, and it would have been a little bit harsh on Man City to have lost. However, that is football, right? Things happen, but I think at the end, and you could tell by the way they were all responding with each other, interacting, the players, the coaches. I think they all knew, yeah, let's just shake hands on the draw. We're the best teams in the country, and we'll see again soon.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say we're the best team in the country if you could just take Milner out of that lineup. Oh my God. In the midfield, I mean, at least is one thing, but just I don't know. Like either Klopp needs to trust Neco or go out and get Tsimikas' clone on the other side of the field, because
I can see why he didn't put Nico Williams. Nico would have got a few yellows. Well, it's not a few yellows, but he would have got a yellow. He would have potentially given away a penalty because he is apt to do that. So I can understand why he wouldn't have wanted to put him under that pressure for this game. However, Milner there is probably not the answer, but I wouldn't have played Gomez either. So yeah, I don't know what he does. In hindsight, Milner was probably the best thing. However, he had no support from Henderson, which is another story.
Well, but then the other side to it is going into the season, you have Alexander Arnold there. You have Neco Williams as his backup. If you don't trust him in a game like this, give him some game time. No. Okay, you don't want to sell him because he's talented or whatever, fine. Yeah, you're right. Sell him, buy somebody else. But if you don't do that, give him some game time. How many minutes has Neco played this year so far? 0. So we're not giving the guy any time. How are you expecting him to learn the craft? If you're going to make him the backup, you got to give him a chance to learn his craft. So I also find that on Klopp, regardless of the circumstance, it was on him. He should have either prepared Neco or found a different sub, because Milner was, I mean, we knew from the beginning of the game, Milner was not going to be great. And right. he was flat out bad. And I got to be honest, I know this is going to sound super weird. I actually think this is the game that could ruin Foden, because he's not as good as he looked. Let's be blunt. Playing against Milner makes you look a lot better when you're a young, fast guy. And the goal he scored was admittedly a great shot. I mean, I've seen him take shots before. They're generally not that good. And by the end of the game, he was yapping at the ref like he was the captain. So it's, we've talked about how Klopp didn't play Jones to try to, bring him back to earth, try to keep him from getting too high on his horse. I wonder if this is the game that makes Foden think that he's, God's gift to football. It would be interesting.
I don't think so, because when I hear him speak in interviews and even after the game, the way he showed respect to Milner and the Liverpool team and even the referees, right? So I think he's that's just how he plays, right? I don't think there's any unhealthy arrogance there. I think that's just the way he plays, and I actually do think he's a good player, and I don't understand why they needed to buy Grealish when they have both him and Sterling, who can do more than Grealish can, right?
Well, don't get me wrong. Foden's good. Yeah. I'm not going to deny that Foden's good. I don't think he's as good as he seemed in this game, because I think Milner made him look much better. I felt like Milner also gambled a couple times on chances that he should have, been just played it safe on. And, honestly, I also thought Van Dijk didn't have a great game. And so let me ask you in this way. Who do you think on the Liverpool side did not play well? How about that?
Henderson for sure.
Yep.
He was our worst player. Milner, I mean, he didn't play well, but he played as well as I expect him to play.
As well as he could.
Exactly.
he didn't underperform his ability.
No,
I would say.
And it is interesting how, for some reason, when you're filling it at fullback, you tend to do better on the opposite wing, and I don't know why that is. Maybe because he's right-footed, and so when he's playing on the left and an attacker's coming in, it's easier for him to usher him to the corner, or as the attacker tries to cut in, tackle that way, right? As opposed to trying to slide tackle or cover on your better side. I don't know. So that's why he seems to be stronger at left back. But anyway, going back to your question, Henderson for sure. Milner's up there.
So
I want to say,
go ahead.
Jota for sure.
Yeah,
he is what he is. He doesn't add much to the play, but he's a striker, so at least he's taking dangerous shots. And then for sure, Firmino when he came on.
So you know what? I'm going to tell you who I thought was fairly weak, and it's his second game in a row, is Fabinho. I actually thought he wasn't very good. I think he went through large stretches where I didn't really notice him. He wasn't really intercepting the ball. He wasn't, stopping rushes. He wasn't doing all the stuff that, we expect him to. And in looking at, so I look at the rating for each player, he was actually the lowest rated for our team. He, by quite a bit, he was rated at 5.9, and the next lowest was Hendo at 6.4.
That's probably because people remembered the miss.
Oh no, this isn't people. This is the statistical one based on like how many, passes, how many blocks. So he basically won 2 of 8 duels, which is very poor. And he was dribbled past 5 times, and he only had 1 tackle the whole game.
Do you think he had a worse game than Henderson?
So I didn't think Henderson had a horrible game in a vacuum, but Henderson had a beyond horrible game considering he should have been insulating Milner.
Yeah. For what his purpose in the team is.
Yeah.
Right?
His purpose in the team, he didn't understand it.
Yeah, he didn't add drive, he didn't add defense, he didn't add attack, and he was giving away balls. The same with Fabinho too. Yeah, I agree. He didn't have a great game, but I think we suffer more when Henderson or the other midfielder don't have good games versus if they have okay games and Fabinho has a bad game.
Well, you know what I'm starting to wonder is, and we saw it in the first half especially on that one play where Ederson put the ball all the way up. I mean, I wonder if teams are starting to notice, and again, started with Brentford, it felt like, but then others have been trying it since, is playing out from the back with the long ball, from the goalie with the long ball, because that way you just avoid our defense, you avoid our midfield. So you basically take Fabinho out of the play by making a direct attack over his head. And I wonder if teams are maybe going to start thinking that way, and now Fabinho doesn't really know how to handle it, because he's kind of the guy that breaks up those plays coming up the middle, but the plays aren't coming up the middle. They're coming out the back. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm a little bit worried because it's his second not so good game in a row in the EPL. So I'm hoping it's not an injury or it's not something else like that. But I wasn't super impressed with him. I did think, Curtis Jones, I thought he was pretty good. Mane, I thought played well. Robbo played well. I got nothing about those guys. That side of the field was fine, but clearly the Milner Henderson connection is not Alexander Arnold and Elliott. That's for sure. What do you think Alexander Arnold and Elliott would have done? Would they have been too young, or would they have been like kryptonite to Foden?
I'll be honest. I don't think having Trent at right back would not have given us a better game, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I agree.
I think where we lacked was in midfield. Not having Thiago and not trusting Keita and not having replaced Wijnaldum. That's what killed us.
Yeah, this is probably the game we missed Genie in.
And without that.
Yeah. You're right.
Absolutely.
I think like we've criticized
Because I can
Genie a
totally
lot.
see Foden, Sterling, Grealish. Oh yeah, we have. I'm still okay with him leaving, but I'm not okay with them not replacing him.
So I'm okay with him leaving, except for the Man City game, because this is the one game that his weird
True.
style of stop all momentum, turn in a circle, wait for guys to come to you, and then fight out of it is like exactly what you need. I
You're
think
right.
against everybody else, it's annoying and detrimental, but against Man City, it's the perfect tool.
You're right.
So
That's exactly what we missed today.
yeah, and as much as I like Jones, Jones doesn't offer that in spades. He's doing it okay, but not at the Genie level. And you're right,
Yeah,
Hendo.
and
I don't know. Maybe Hendo's older, more tired, injured, something. He's tailing off a bit. I don't really know.
you know what I think happened? I think his head was turned in the summer, and he actually considered leaving Liverpool for whatever reason, contract, whatever, right? And so his heart hasn't been in it for the first few games. I think it's slowly coming back, but because of that, he has to relearn his kind of his drive. Probably something similar to what's happening with Harry Kane at Spurs.
Well, I wonder. Do you think having an 18-year-old take your job? You think that plays on him at all?
Probably not. I think it's more, when you're happy with somewhere or with something, and then for the first time you actually consider seriously leaving it, right? And that you're surprised by the fact that you actually considered it. It takes a while to kind of to come back from that, if you are able to at all, right? And I think a lot of what made him who he was in this Liverpool team was his desire to drive this team forward.
Did you feel there was a lack of drive or a lack of desire today?
I just think he's not focused, right?
Yeah.
He's not the most skillful player, but to just be giving you, he made a lot of bad decisions, and he's been making a lot of bad decisions this season, and that's kind of concerning.
He
And he
lost
starts yelling at
possession.
everybody else.
He lost possession 17 times in the game, which
Yeah,
is a lot. So
that's that's
taking a
not
look at
normal.
Jones, Jones lost possession 5 times.
Yeah,
That's huge. Absolutely huge. And there was that one play, if you recall, in the middle where I think it was Bernardo Silva who had a run with it. He had like a total brain cramp right in the middle of the field.
yeah.
Yeah. So Jones
So,
lost it 5 times, Fabinho lost it 6 times, and Hendo lost it 17 times.
and the one thing that you would hope and you would expect when we had Henderson and Wijnaldum in the middle is when they have the ball, they typically don't lose it.
Yeah. That
They may
used to
just
be
pass
our
it
calling
sideways,
card.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they may just pass
Sideways,
it sideways.
back, hold, think, turn, but not
Mhm.
lose. And you're right. We
Not
gave up a
lose.
lot of possession.
But speaking of Bernardo Silva, so I am actually slightly worried at the way he's been playing, because I remember, I don't know, it is interesting with the Man City team the way Pep manages his players. Players will just disappear for 2 seasons and then they'll come back re-energized, right? Play as if they're the top five player in the world, and then they'll disappear again for another season. So for the past 2 seasons, Silva hadn't been as prolific as he was the season before that, but now he's really coming along again, and that's slightly concerning.
But I mean, they're going to suffer the same problems, whatever you want to call it, that we had, which is okay. So you play him in the midfield, but that means you're taking other guys out because you still have Fernandinho that Pep loves. You still have um, uh, Grealish, who I guess is now playing as a forward, even though I never thought of him as a great forward. Like, I don't know. I hear what you're saying, but I don't know
But
when.
that's the thing about Pep; he's not afraid to take out anybody he needs to, right?
It's true. I mean, look at
So,
Laporte. Laporte was a world
right.
beater. To your point, Laporte was a world beater, 2 years ago? it
He
was
just disappeared.
yeah, and he literally just disappeared, and he's kind of reemerged this year. And I guess he probably wished
Yeah.
he wouldn't have been in this game because he got posterized pretty well by Salah there.
Yeah. Same with John Stones, and also now Raheem Sterling is not starting, which is odd, completely strange.
Well, I mean,
Riyad Mahrez, I haven't seen him at all this season.
yeah, one guy I will say I think has played very well is Jesus. He's looked really good, and he seems to have a really good understanding of, like, cutting across the field and all that. I think his big, where he generated, again, the Foden goal, he generated it by coming across from his side into the middle and then passing it, which I'm getting more and more worried because I'm seeing that more and more. Like attacks down Robbo's wing, and Robbo plays them fine, but then when they come across the field, we seem to be caught out every time. It's a little bit weird.
Yeah, it is becoming a trend, and we are. I mean, it's hard to know if every fan says this about goals they concede, but the goals we concede are always so preventable, and it's they're not goals that we typically concede in that manner. So when we do, it's extremely frustrating, but it just seems a little bit too easy for the opposition anytime they score.
Yeah, I feel like we're back, what is it, 3 years ago, when like a 1-goal lead in the last 10 minutes, we were all like terrified. Or that
Yeah.
was, when was that, 4 years ago?
It
We
was
went
about
through a
4
period
years.
where we were terrified of every 1-goal lead. Then we went through a period where we knew 1 goal was more than enough. Now I'm worried we're back to we concede that, we were up twice. Like, forget the refereeing, forget anything else. We had the lead twice and we gave it up both times, and very quickly.
And for the second game in a row.
And for the second game in a
Right.
row. So
Very very similar the way we scored, and we just can't hold the lead for more than 10, 15 minutes.
yeah, and again, Man City's a good team, but our defensive line is supposed to be the Cadillac of, all defensive lines. So
No, but you know what it comes down to again? It's a midfield. We're not playing with intelligence in the midfield, right?
it's true. And with Fab
that's-
having that bad a game, you're right. It definitely
Yeah.
affects the defenders, and it puts more pressure on them.
And that's where I think we're missing Thiago, because he is intelligent. He is somebody that can just slow down the game, speed it up at the right times, right? So he didn't play against Brentford, did he? And he didn't play in this game.
No, he was injured.
So yeah, you can totally imagine if we had him today and we had a lead, I don't think we concede.
I got to be honest though. I kind of feel like, and again, you might be like, you're crazy. I feel like Keita has the intelligence to slow the game down and to, he knows and he feels when the team's getting edgy.
So that's why a few minutes ago I said, I forget how I worded it, but it was along the lines of, I was upset that we didn't replace Wijnaldum and we don't trust Keita, right? Because we had him on the bench. He is the next best thing to Thiago, right?
Yeah.
But again, Klopp just doesn't trust him for whatever reason. But he does trust him, but then when he's out of the team, he doesn't put him immediately back.
Yeah, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but we only had one sub, didn't we? Oh, 2 subs, Firmino and Jota.
2 subs. Yeah.
Firmino and Jota, and Gomez for Milner. But I don't know. Like, in all honesty, like, be brave. Fabinho wasn't having a great game. Move Hendo back into that role, because Hendo was clearly not getting what he should do. Move Keita in and move Curtis Jones across or something. Like, I don't know. I feel like we saw the problem down that wing the whole game and nothing was done about it.
Who would you have subbed Keita in for? Say at 60, 67 minutes.
Either Hendo or Fab.
Definitely not Fab.
So
even if he's having a bad game, you just have to leave him there.
But Fab's having a bad game, and frankly, Hendo in that holding defensive role has looked better as time goes on. So when he had that role, 3 years ago or whatever, he wasn't great. But now, what
Oh,
was
I
it,
see what you're
last
saying.
year?
Okay, so put him
He
there.
started looking a
Okay.
lot better in that role. The game seemed to slow down a bit for him, and he seemed to realize he didn't need to do everything. So if Fab's having a bad game and Hendo's already on,
You're right.
pull
Yeah.
him off, and give him a break. Maybe he needs it, maybe whatever. I mean, Hendo wasn't working in his position. Fab wasn't working in his
Mhm.
position. Make a change. Worst that happens is, Hendo's not doing great in the defensive midfielder role, but you know, we already had that problem because Fab wasn't doing great.
The unfortunate thing, so in the second half, the only thing I'll fault Klopp for is not making the Milner change at halftime, but it worked out for us, right? But and Milner should be embarrassed that he allowed him. I mean, you would hope that he's wise and mature enough not to, make a blatant foul that would cause a second yellow. So he should know better than that. But anyway, Klopp was in a tough position because both times we took the lead, the best thing to do is just to allow the team to play through it, right? And he did. Unfortunately, we conceded. So that's not the time to make that change, to take Fabinho off and bring Keita. Because we scored again and then we conceded against. And in the last 10 minutes, is there really any point making that change?
I
If anything, I would have brought Origi on and taken off. I don't know. I don't know who you take off, but just to try something different. But
Firmino,
there's no point
even though
change.
you just brought him on
Yeah,
because he
I
wasn't
know.
doing anything.
No.
You know what? I got to be
So
honest. I love Firmino in the midfield role. The opposite of love him in that forward role. When he's come on in the midfield, I feel like it's opened him up a bit somehow. But in the offensive role, I'm just, I don't know if he's lost. I don't know. He's not looking great. I, I don't know. It's tough. We got a draw. It's as
yeah,
good as it's going to be. We'll be at the top until Chelsea wins. Um, and it'll clearly be a grind. I'm a little bit surprised Chelsea's doing this well this early, but hopefully the wheels come off at some point for them, because I'd be surprised if they can continue this momentum the whole year. But it'll be us and it'll be Man U. I think that's
Man
just what
City.
it's destined to be.
Yeah, and I've been saying all along since the summer that if we do what we need to do, I'm not really concerned about anybody else, right? This is going to be one of those seasons where we either win it or we'll come sixth, right? And so far, it looks like we're doing what we need to do. Yes, we've tied a few games and dropped points. However, all things being equal, I'm quite happy with the way we started this season, and I just hope that Klopp has seen enough things to insist on getting in some transfers in January, come January 1st. We do need a midfielder. We do need to figure out what we want to do at right back, because obviously Trent can't be trusted to play the whole season, and he shouldn't have to play the whole season as well. And then we have to decide what we're going to do when our African players leave for a couple games.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Mane and Salah, like I don't really know what to say there. Like, they're gonna be gone. We're replacing them with Minamino and Origi. That'll be rough. So
The only
I
good thing is the way the schedules work. They missed like an FA Cup game and a couple of like maybe a team playing Watford or something like that. No huge games, but still, we do have to have a plan. But knowing us, we probably won't have one.
Yeah, we don't do a ton of business in January generally. That's kind of what we've seen. But I mean, I don't know, the midfield. I don't even need a new midfielder. I just need Klopp to either decide that he's trusting Keita or sell Keita and get a different guy. Like, we don't need a new one. Just start trusting the guys you have or get rid of them. And that applies to Keita and it applies to Neko Williams too.
I think
Either
we do
decide.
need.
But do you think Neko could be the answer, or do you think we've just Klopp's like, no, that's not happening?
I, I think he can do a job, right? He's not going to do any worse than Milner did today, so I think he can do a job. And he just had, to your point, he just has to trust him. Unfortunately, he was injured for the Norwich game in the EFL Cup, so hopefully he'll be available. I think we're playing Preston in a couple of weeks, so hopefully he'll play that game, and then we'll see how it goes. But as far as the midfielder, we do definitely need a body. We need somebody who's reliable, dynamic, a little bit younger. Because keep in mind, Keita's going to African Nations Cup too, right?
That's true.
Plus, he's never available. He and Thiago, I mean, you can just write them off. Ox, I don't know what he is anymore. Maybe we should try him at right back. right? Same with Minamino. He's more of a forward. So we do need another.
Okay, hold on. I'm on this one. Ox at right back.
Yeah,
I mean,
he played fullback at Arsenal, ironically, which is why he came to Liverpool, because he didn't want to play fullback anymore. But tough.
but in a pinch, like I'm genuinely thinking like Ox has the muscle. Like Foden wouldn't have outmuscled him. And speed wise, he wouldn't run by him like he ran by Milner. He's had a lot of injuries, but he's still got some, veteran savvy there. I don't know. I'm actually kind of wondering, like, say after we score our second goal, maybe you bring Ox on to just neutralize Foden, because, that wing was getting exposed.
The only concern is what we saw last season, where midfielders are playing in defense and they were just giving away cheap penalties, cheap free kicks, right? So
That's true.
Just that experience of knowing how not to foul and when not to foul. That's the only concern. However, yeah, pace, muscle, everything else, he has it covered.
Yeah, I mean, okay, we can moan about Milner all day long, but I mean, the last thing, I'm assuming we don't need to talk about man of the match, because we all know it's Salah and his world beater goal.
Yes.
I mean, I just wish he would do it more, but I guess to your point, he does try it every week. It just doesn't come off.
Yeah, it's more the first goal that I wish he would do more of the first goal first, or more of the first goal. The second goal, yeah, he tries that. It works or it won't work. That's fine. I'm not concerned about that. But the first one, just showing that game intelligence, that's huge. Because if you can start doing that, it'll just raise our attacking opportunities immensely.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And who knows, maybe a game like this where he's got not just the goal, but also the assist, maybe that really, kind of gets him, going a little bit better. I mean, again, he's obviously going, he's got, I don't know, what is it? 7 goals in 7 matches, 9 goals in 9 matches, whatever it is. But maybe it kind of gets his mojo back a bit in terms of like hooking up with Sadio Mane, because I don't know if you noticed, but right after the goal, Mane turned and looked right at Salah and pointed, and they both hugged like they used to. So
exactly,
the animosity was gone, and they're both like, "Hey man, we work together. Like, good job." So maybe this kind of rekindles them. Salah's got his magic, Mane's got the runs, and Salah can see him. Maybe they remember what we did 3-4 years ago and they try it again. It's kind of my hope.
Yeah,
maybe I'm just dreaming.
A season and a half.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so, because they've been working on it for the past 18 months, right? And it just hasn't been working. They've been looking for themselves, for each other so much, but unintelligently. So hopefully it'll start to click, and they can, almost like the almost assist that Mane gave Salah last game that he missed.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. So hopefully this is the start of a nice little run. Of course, we get an international break now to give the players, I guess, no break, because they're all going to play for the international squads, but gives us as fans a little bit of a break, and come back in a couple weeks with another game. And I mean, we won't be facing Man City again for April, is it, or whatever? So I don't know. By then it might be an even bigger game if we're still tied at the top.
For more stories, analysis, and articles, go to the ForensicCop.com website.